Alright, welcome back to the Potions Lab. Let's get to it with this upgraded, even better tier of golden milk latte. So, where are we going to build it? This seems like a fine vessel, right? So here's what we're going to do. The better tier is where we're going to upgrade to some fresh ingredients. And our first neurogenic compound comes into play as well. It's going to be the lion's mane mushroom. You may have heard of it. Very amazing thing. Damn near psychedelic on its own. So, we've got fresh turmeric root, fresh ginger root, and we've got our lion's mane extract, right? They actually have organic lion's mane extract from bulk supplements, so that was like an easy buy. So, with our lion's mane, our fresh ginger, and our fresh turmeric, this is going to bump our potency up about 15 to 20%. And we're also going to introduce nerve growth factor, right? This is going to take maybe 8 to 10 minutes of prep, and I'm just going to walk you through ingredient by ingredient, and we're going to go over the science like we did the first time, right? So, fresh turmeric, actually my first time working with it. I personally, I've just washed these so that I can use the whole thing, because I've realized that oftentimes when you peel stuff, you're missing out on really great compounds that are in the skin of these foods, and we're going to strain all of this out anyway, so we might as well get every beneficial compound that is in this, right? So fresh turmeric has the same curcumin content as dried, and sometimes slightly higher if it's very freshly harvested. But the real benefit here is that we're starting with the whole unprocessed root, right? So there's no oxidation, no degradation, and it hasn't been sitting in a warehouse for months, or else it, it would already have turned itself to a powder. But when you dehydrate turmeric yourself, or buy it fresh, you're getting a peak curcumin content. So if you found a great deal on some I've never seen organic, or I found one store that had regenerative turmeric for $1 per 1,000 pounds, well, go ahead, hop on that deal, and then if you can dehydrate it yourself, you can lock in all of those benefits of having it fresh. The store-bought powders that you get, even with my premix that I made, that I love, sometimes these powders can be sitting in a warehouse for 6 to 18 months before they even get out to you. So there is oxidation, there is degradation happening in that process. Even though it can still be beneficial when it gets to you, why not try and have even more benefit by having fresh ingredients, or buying fresh ingredients, dehydrating them yourself, and then using it that way. But of course, this is of course, a lot of work and stuff. So you can definitely buy turmeric that is dehydrated. And what you would do is buy your dehydrated turmeric, right? And then you would get a spice grinder and just grind that down. And then you have fresh powdered turmeric that if you want to powder some for the next 2 weeks, that's great. And you're gonna lock in that fresh curcumin level of fresh turmeric level of curcumin content, right? So the fresh that we have here, I don't know why I'm using a knife as a pointer, but the fresh that we've got here is gonna also contain volatile oils that are gonna be present in this root, but do evaporate when it is gone through the drying process. So another great benefit is the oils that are within it. And the oils are going to not only add flavor, but they give you an extra boost in the anti-inflammation process, right? So let's chop it up, or I don't know, is this like ginger? Can I crush it? Don't do what I'm doing. Use something safer. Don't play with a knife. Alright, let's crush it. This is getting messy. I don't know, I was trying to do it like I did ginger, but maybe chopping it is better than pulverizing it, because I'm just, like, squirting it in my eye right now. Oh, this one is very orange compared to the last one. What you'll learn as you watch me make stuff for myself, I'm a messy person. That's interesting. I've never worked with like fresh turmeric before. The first piece, like these two pieces are like kind of like, you know, they've got the orange going, but then this like middle piece, like very orange. It's giving dye. Okay, and now we're gonna do our fresh ginger root. I'm also gonna keep the skin on here because, again, same thing, more beneficial compounds in it. But then also I noticed, because I wasn't leaving the skin on the ginger at first, but then I realized, I was like, I'm straining this out anyway. Like, why am I taking the time to peel it? And so I left the peel on the ginger, and then it was like it helped emulsify the drink. I, and yeah, I don't know. So like after I strained it, it wasn't that thing where like you have all this powder sitting on the bottom. It kind of like stayed. I don't know. So I find it beneficial to leave it on for both the nutrients and this kind of like emulsifying effect. It just makes it easier to drink it. So the fresh is obviously, we're going to get the peak ginger all content here with no degradation, and it's going to have that more pungent flavor because the volatile compounds haven't evaporated, and we want all the compounds. So these gingerols in the ginger are going to work synergistically with the curcumin to suppress NF-κB even more effectively than either one would alone. And that's why ginger is always in the golden milk latte in the first place, because of these synergistic effects, right? And if you think about it, you get into your conspiracy brain just a bit. All of these interactions working so perfectly. And we haven't even added, this is my upgrade, the lion's mane, right? But even without it, leave it over here for a second. All of these things working together, the ginger, the black pepper, the curcumin, right? The fat-soluble source. This is like deep science. You know, the people that made this drink, you know, if you read about this, you'll always hear like, wow, these people were, they really did something, and you look into this, look at all this science behind it. You know, as if it were by accident, because nobody wants to accredit science to people before the white man, right? But like, this is deep science. Like, people knew what they were doing. They didn't just like come like, oh, the black pepper tastes good in the drink. Like, no, people don't put black pepper in drinks, really. And of course, like, some people do have like savory drinks. You've got like, you know, stuff like, yeah, add like spicy margarita or something. But it is very obvious when you learn the science of what is happening here that these people knew exactly what they were doing. They had high science, and that's why we still have this today. And this drink and this recipe survived the times when they knew this science so well, back into the times of us being like, oh, this is, you know, just people like, your grandma being like, drink this, this is good for you, and having no idea why it's good for you, and then being brought back into the information age, learning all about it and being like, oh, it's good for you because this is hard science. This is all chemical reactions that are going to benefit me. Okay, so we've got our fresh ingredients. Let's get these on in our jar. Okay, I have stained my hand. Let me go wash my hand off really quick. All right. Let's get these in. Whew, got that Sasha Keeple song stuck in my head. Okay, let's add some milk right now just so my powder doesn't get stuck and not mixed properly. So I'm going to add approximately, I think I'm making this for like one hefty dose. So I'm going to go with like 600 milliliters because I usually would put 500 milliliters in there, but I just put this in there first, being dumb. So let's fill it up a little extra so I actually get 500 milliliters of liquid. Done. And just in case I end up editing this weird and I don't edit the last thing I shot into this, I'm using this milk. This is Khalifa Farms almond milk. I like to use this one because it's organic. It's just got 4 ingredients. It's water, almonds, vanilla, and sea salt, right? And it's all organic. So none of that is going to negatively interact with any of our other ingredients. So that's why I like it. All organic, not a bunch of bullshit in it. And you'll notice as you make these for yourselves, even plant milk, which is like mostly water, it mixes this stuff so much better. It might not matter much now that we're using fresh ingredients, but it probably does. There's something about the water, like, it just don't hit like when you put it in milk. And there's no science behind that besides it don't hit. So we've got our ginger, we've got our turmeric, and now let's add our absolute upgrade, our neurogenic compound, the thing that is going to literally give us new pieces of our mind that allow us to be smarter, be quicker, faster, stronger. So, I am going to add 1 teaspoon is going to be our loading dose. Of course, once again, you can take more. So you see how fat this teaspoon is. I've got this coming way over. I'm just going to dump that in. Because once again, loading dose, the minimum amount you need. But when we're working with like super safe stuff like curcumin, lion's mane, go ahead and have a little extra. But also know that just sitting here and downing a whole bag of lion's mane in one day isn't going to be like, oh, well, I ate a ton of it, so obviously it's going to work faster. Like, no, not necessarily. Like, you do have to just, like, put in the work and, you know, consume it every day, often as you can, make it properly. Because all of these things really do matter when it comes to how it's going to benefit you. Because you can do everything right and then boil it too hot, and you'll kill everything. Everything good in there you'll kill. So do follow the directions. That is going to be your biggest thing. And we're going to go with so the lion's mane. You want the dual extracted powder. Dual extracted is going to have been extracted in both water and in alcohol. And I'm going over this again, in case I don't edit that other video I did into here, which I might not. So the lion's mane is going to contain 2 categories of beneficial compounds. You're going to have your water-soluble compounds, which are your beta-glucans. These are polysaccharides. You're going to find polysaccharides in a lot of great mushrooms. And polysaccharides support your immune function, right? And they have anti-inflammatory properties. And since they're water soluble, they come out in water. So if you had a mushroom, a lion's mane mushroom, you put it in some hot water, made a tea, you would in fact get those beta glucans. You are going to get those. But what you're going to miss out on is the alcohol soluble elements, which are going to be the hericenones and the arenosines. Okay, some of these words not the easiest for me, but we're going to power through. And these are actual neurogenic compounds that are going to cross the blood-brain barrier and stimulate nerve growth factor production. And you extract those with alcohol soluble, right? So our neurogenic compounds, the hericenones and the arenosines in the lion's mane, when I say that they are going to directly stimulate NFG, which is nerve growth factor, here's what that means. It means, so first of all, NFG is a protein, right? And that protein is going to tell your brain to grow new neurons, maintain existing neurons, build new dendrites, which is going to be the branching connections between the neurons that allow the neurons to interact with each other and actually make you function better, right? And it's going to repair damaged neural tissue. This is huge because a lot of people don't realize that they're living with brain damage like right now, right this second. Because it has been tested that within 3 days of eating the standard American diet, you can see brain damage in people that did not eat like that previously. And that goes for anybody, even if you are eating the standard American diet. Let's say that you have a week, I don't know, you went on vacation or something and you just couldn't eat like you usually do, you're eating much worse. Whatever your baseline was, you're eating much worse, right? Within 3 days of eating much worse, you can see the effects on your brain as damage, as brain damage, the same type that puts people in the vegetable state. Of course, you don't have as much, but that is the same type of damage to the mind. And it is like, it's not good. It's a horrible thing to have happening to you. But the good thing is that you can, in fact, repair this damage. You can grow new neurons. You can get yourself back to baseline before you ever had damage, and then you can go even further. So there's a study by Mori and colleagues in 2009. They gave people lion's mane, right? And they were able to notice measurable improvements in cognition and the way their brains were functioning. 16 weeks. 16 weeks is all it took. That's 4 months. That's 1 semester of college. 1 college semester. And they were having noticeable improvements in how their brain functions just by doing a dual extracted lion's mane powder. Now, we've got a lot more in here. And we don't just have the powder. We have stuff that's enhancing the powder. We've got stuff that works synergistically with the powder, right? So we're doing good work here. And this is the type of stuff that you need to do to build your mind, protect your brain, and make sure that damage isn't going to take you over. Because once again, if you have ever noticed that you are worse off from 1 week to the next, that is real. And damage is happening, but you can repair it. Repairing it does get harder and take longer, though, the longer that you let damage happen, because you're going to have more and more damage to repair. So you start consuming your lion's mane, or even better, your whole potion, right? And your timeline is going to be 2 to 4 weeks before you start getting new neural connections to start forming. And by 8 to 12 weeks, the structural changes are significant, by 8 to 12 weeks, the structural changes are so significant, they can be measured on cognitive tests. 8 to 12 weeks, and you can be literally test better. So, and here's the beautiful thing again, with our magical super ingredient, the fresh cracked black pepper, fresh only, is that, like I was saying last video, black pepper isn't just for curcumin. Black pepper is magical. Black pepper should have shrines made to it, because we crack this in here, and we are also going to enhance not only the turmeric, not only the ginger, but the lion's mane as well by 2,000%. Every compound in here that is beneficial is going to be enhanced by 2,000%, putting in this fresh black pepper. The hiracinones and the arenosines are also like kind of difficult for your body to absorb. So this is very beneficial. So like you could just do the dual extracted lion's mane powder, but again, this is really, really helping. You are not getting as much as you could until you start doing your potion magic. All right, quarter teaspoon of black pepper. Sometimes I like to put a little more. You know, like 2,000. Bring it up by 2 milli. So the hiracinones and the arenosines, once they're extracted with alcohol, they are going to be mostly fat soluble. So fat is going to be the vehicle that you want to take it into your system, right? But the water soluble elements are still good, right? So what we have here is we've got some coconut oil, our fat source, and it's got the MCTs, the medium chain triglycerides, and then our almond milk is mostly water. So we're going to get both benefits and have both vehicles taking this into us in a perfect way, so all elements have what they need to be active in the perfect way within our bodies, right? So let's add our fat source. Or maybe I'll use a clean little spoon here. So you only need a teaspoon of the fat. And this is, of course, also because in this particular mix, we did not put coconut milk powder. So we're going to need the coconut oil for the fat. Whereas if you did add some coconut milk powder, you would add a tablespoon, and you could use that instead of the oil. Lion's mane works primarily with the NFG gene, and when NFG is upregulated, it activates BDNF, which is brain-derived nootropic factor genes, which means more neural growth, right? And it's going to activate the synapsin genes, which is going to be more synaptic connections, and it's also going to activate the GAP43, which is growth-associated protein axon growth and neural repair. This is excellent stuff. And that's why lion's mane is neurogenic. It's not just protecting the neurons we already have, like the curcumin is. It's going to tell your brain to build new architecture. Like, I don't know, I think it's amazing. I think that's like magical stuff. People will tell you constantly that like you're kind of stuck where you are, and if you haven't learned everything that you did when you were in schooling, people will just be like, okay, well, whoever you are now, that's who you are, you know, make it work in the world. But the reality is that you can choose at any time to be better and stronger, and unfortunately we kind of have to choose it now. Whereas I'm sure in better times with better food, people were unintentionally getting smarter all the time because they were just having such a high quality of nutrition. That's not us. So we gotta try, we gotta get to brewing in the cauldron. And here's what's cool. The turmeric that's reducing your inflammation through the NFKB gene suppression, the inflammation suppresses neurogenesis. Neurogenesis, again, is the process of building new neurons through stem cells in your brain, right? And you can't build new neurons while your brain is inflamed. That's why it's so important that you do turn this gene off. So the lion's mane has like some anti-inflammatory properties, like a little bit, but you really do need this heavy-hitting curcumin anti-inflammatory effect for the lion's mane to be able to work. Because you can't have this work while your brain is fully inflamed. You got to take down the inflammation and create neurogenesis. And it's funny because I also think too, it's like you can build so many new parts of your brain, new neurons, new connections that you didn't have before by doing these properly brewed potions, right? So it's like, I don't know, it's like you might as well play a game. Like, how many new connections can I build? Like, how far can I take my mind? Imagine you have so much of this, more than anybody has ever had before. You're building more neurons than a person has ever built in their lives. And suddenly you can do things that nobody else has ever been able to do. I wouldn't be surprised if you get enough connections and suddenly you're psychic or something, because you are literally being able to use your brain in ways that you hadn't before. And eventually you keep going, you're going to be able to use your brain in ways that most people haven't before. So the turmeric is creating the environment where neurogenesis could happen, and then the lion's mane is providing that direct signal to do neurogenesis now, right? So we're not just taking some beneficial supplements here. We're creating the conditions for one to amplify the other. Synergy, right? And as you can see, I haven't even added the heat yet, and this is turning quite yellow. So let's get this on some heat, some low to medium heat. We don't want the inside of here to reach over 170. So you just want it to, you can turn, like if you're going to double boil like I do, you can turn it up high, wait for it to get hot, and then turn it down. So, you don't have to wait for it on low for hours and hours to get hot. But you don't, once you do get it going, you want to turn that down to make sure you're not going to burn the ingredients within, of course. All right, let's cook it up. Okay, as you can see, I've got it double boiling in my little pot. I have these silicone lids, and I have one of them sitting under this jar so that the jar isn't directly touching the metal. That's not for contamination, that's just because if the jar directly touches the metal, it's going to get very hot very quickly, and it might go over our 170 that we want. But generally, the double boiling process isn't going to get any hotter than water can get without evaporating. So you're usually safe to cook your like volatile stuff, your heat sensitive stuff, through double boiling as long as it can get hot at all, which this stuff can. So double boiling, good. And as it's heating up, it's turning more and more orange, of course. I'm going to keep mixing it, and when it's done in about like 30 minutes, I'm going to strain it into a glass and drink it on down. And that's all there is to it. That is our better, upgraded golden milk latte recipe based on pure science to get you absolute magic within your mind.